How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new here, do me a huge favor and subscribe before we get into this video. It's been quite a while since I've made a video on this car. The Mustang's kind of just been in the background of a lot of the new videos, so let's talk about why it's not been in the videos and why I've stopped modifying the car altogether. It's been about a year since I did the last modification, which was probably the wrap from what I remember. The only big modifications I have done are some cosmetic things and an exhaust to the car. And there's a lot of reasons behind that, so let's kind of talk about why I haven't done anything to the car in so long. It is extremely cold outside. It's currently 37 degrees, and the Mustang doesn't like the cold, especially the battery. So let's see if the car even starts up. Last winter we had the same problem. So I pulled the car out, and let's talk about why I haven't modified it. And there's two reasons why I have not modified this car in over a year at this point. Now, reason number one is the cost, and reason number two is the practicality of the car. So as you can see here, I've done pretty much all the aesthetics that I want to do until I do some performance modifications to the car. Obviously there's a couple of things that I would change in the outside appearance, but don't really care to spend a couple $1,000s on new fenders or grills and whatnot because I don't see the point. I would want to add some more horsepower to this car, get the car tuned, get long tube headers in it, and make 460 to the wheels, 470 horsepower to the wheels instead of to the crank. There's a couple things on the interior that I would want to change, but honestly don't care enough to because of how expensive some of those things are. But I'm at the point right now where the next step would be me breaking my warranty, which I don't really care too much about, but it also makes the car really unpractical. If I do tune the car, get long tube headers in the car, number one, it's going to be really, really loud, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but at the same time, since I do drive the car so much right now, it wouldn't really make sense. I drive the car way too much for it to be driven with long tube headers, for it to be driven with a inefficient tune in terms of gas mileage. I would, instead of getting 20 miles to the gallon, get 15, 14 or less miles to the gallon, which adds up really quickly. And not that the gas mileage is the biggest thing in the world, but I drive the car all the time. I drive it on a daily basis right now. It is my daily driver. So until I get a new daily, I'm not going to be doing too much to this car in terms of performance. And that's kind of where I'm at with this car. I don't really know what to do to take it to a next level without making the car more inefficient for me to use. And then along with that, some of those things, the mods that I want to do, I need $4,000, $3,000 to get to the point where I can go full bolt-on headers, intake, exhaust, tune. Somewhere in that ballpark. A tune and headers alone will probably run me somewhere in the $2,000 range, and intake probably like $2,500 total. That's still a lot of money. I was at the point where I could go full bolt-on in my car, or I could buy another car, and that's why I bought the Miata. I wanted to use it as a track car, and that's another thing that falls into the cost and the money aspect. I'd rather modify that car right now because it's cheaper. It's not held back by any regulations in terms of emissions, in terms of warranties or anything like that, or practicality, daily drivability. That's not a car I'm driving on a daily basis at all. It's not a car that I need to have, efficiently working all the time. So I can afford to do a couple of things that will make the car a little more inefficient. We'll fire the car back up. It makes a nice sound. It's loud, but it's not over the top. If I got headers, the car would be probably a little over the top. I'm just enjoying it as it is, and I think I don't really need to do too much until I take the next step, and whenever I do choose to do the next step, I feel like I'll know when the time's right. And right now, I just don't have anything that I really want to do to it other than just enjoy it. There are a couple of things that I want to do next year to this car, though. I want to do some interior things. So as far as the steering wheel goes, I would like to match the carbon dash that came from my car with factory, and maybe do a new surround on the steering wheel. Again, pretty expensive, but I think by next year, it's something that I will be able to do. I want to do a short throw shifter on this car. The shifts are really long on this car, and I think a short throw is in order. Plus, I hear the short throws definitely help the car in terms of reliability and takes a little bit of those gear grinds and lockouts away. I don't really have them too much. I've had lockouts occasionally, but I guess we'll see. I'm sure I'm gonna enjoy the short throw way more than I enjoy these long throws in this car. And the wrap probably will be removed end of next year, I'm thinking. I don't want to keep it on too long because I don't want it to stick to the paint, but also kind of want to change things up. I'll probably keep the stripes, but the wrap on the side will probably go next year. And now we have the Bronco, so I want to modify that, and I want to modify the Miata instead of putting more money into this car and doing things that will make it inefficient for me anyways. And that's kind of why I haven't modified the car. I would love to supercharge the car. I would love to, you know, do full bolt-on on the car. I think my end goal with this car is going to be just a naturally aspirated car that makes somewhere in the high 400s in terms of wheel horsepower. I think that's where I want to keep it. I don't think I want to make, you know, 900, 800 wheel horsepower in this car. I think keeping it naturally aspirated, making the power it makes right now is more than enough for me. I like enjoying different cars and experiencing different cars rather than owning one car and modifying it to the max. I see why people do it. It's definitely an appeal that I've had, a thought I've had, turning this thing up to 1,000 horsepower, but it's something that maybe down the line we'll do on a build someday. As of right now, to this car, I think we're at a very comfortable point where I like it for now. That being said, if you guys do have any modifications that I'm not thinking of that I could do that wouldn't really take away from the car all too much, leave it in the comment section down below. The one thing I'd consider to do is suspension. I've never driven a Mustang with coilovers. I want to do coils on the Miata first because I've never had a car that I've done suspension modification to. This was the first real car that I modified. I want to do coils on the Miata and see how that goes and see how the difference between the cars driving are. And then I would love to drive a Mustang with a nice coilover suspension setup that makes the car a lot more sporty, but also like ride nice. I don't want to have coils and then make this ride super harsh. I would love to track the car after I get a little bit more experience in a lower horsepower car that's more about handling rather than a high horsepower car that's an absolute monster. I want to learn how to drive on the track properly and then step into this car, especially because of how expensive this car is. I know to you guys my garage doesn't make too much sense because I have a Bronco I can daily drive, I have the Lexus I can daily drive. Why don't I just do the things to the Mustang? Because it might cost a little bit. Why do I bring up the practicality standpoint? And the thing is, the thing you guys don't see on camera is I drive this car all the time. Before the Bronco came, I was probably driving this car every single day for a month. I drive this car all the time, and I don't want to have a car that I can't do that with. It'll make more sense in the future, and I'll kind of go into more detail about it in the future. Right now, I'm just happy where this car is, and there's a couple of minor things that I'd love to do, but right now my focus is on modding the Miata, saving up money for that, and kind of just saving money in general, so in the future, I can continue to experience more cars and more different types of cars, rather than having a Mustang that I have $70,000 into, when for that money I could have experienced 3 to 4 different cars. Eventually the Mustang will get some modifications. Just for now, we're gonna build the Miata. For me right now, it makes sense to just drive and enjoy this car. And I think as car people, we always get turned into the thing where you need to continuously modify your car. I'm at the point where I'm happy with it for now, and that's where I'm going to be for a little bit. That's all I have for this video though. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.